Hi, Mark Regan here. Ever since I was a little kid, I've really loved to hunt and fish. So when we got assigned this 5-minute instructional video, I thought what better to do than show you guys a couple of my favorite techniques to catching my 3 favorite fish in Missouri. Now, Missouri is really famous for crappie, bass fishing, and also panfish, such as like the bluegills and the sunfish. And those are 3 of my favorite fish to catch in Missouri. And I target them frequently using open cast reel systems and artificial lures. So I just want to show you a few of my techniques on how I find it successful to go fishing in Missouri. And I'll show you the different rods I use, the different lures I use for the different times of years, and to target the different species. Whether it be Lake of the Ozarks, Mark Twain, down to Table Rock, even to our family place out at Ensbrook, which has got about 80-something lakes. I'm out fishing all the time. So over the years I've become pretty familiar. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I do know a lot about artificial fishing and sport fishing here in Missouri. So first I'll show you the 2 basic types of rods that I use when going out fishing. Usually I use, well, of course, how I said before, I use spin rods, which are the open face rods that have a bail system. So as you can see, they're open face with a bail that you flip, reel. They have a drag system for bigger fish. And these are definitely the more complicated reels out there and more expensive, but they're for the more experienced fishermen, and anyone who's used one can tell you that definitely land a bigger fish using a bigger bass rod. So I call the 10-footers bass rods, and I call the 8-footers crappie rods. And next I'll show you just a few of my favorite lures that I use to target the different fish. First, for panfish, most commonly I'll use a crappie jig, is what it's most commonly known as. That includes using a hook with a weighted tip, which looks maybe like an eye of a fish or something, but really it's just a lead weighted hook with so it's top heavy. And then once you have this, you will take a skirt, as they call it. Looks like this. I'll take it off this one. See, and it's just like a plastic tube that mimics just a little critter. And crappie and panfish go crazy for these. So it's just a rig like this. Hook it on there, slide it up, tie it on, and you're ready to go. And this can slaughter panfish and crappie, especially in the springtime and the summertime. And right here you also have a float. Sometimes you want to use these in conjunction with a jig, so you can suspend them probably about 5 feet in the water and maybe chug them along, or you can do it free without a float as well. Next, I also really like to use artificial plastics. This is just a simple plastic worm, but I use a bunch of different types of artificial plastics. You can catch all 3 species with artificial plastics, and there's a wide array. This one mimics a worm. You have lizards, things known as chompers. They just go on and on for the different types that you could have. Really, it's endless. And next, we have a topwater plug. A topwater plug is used mainly in the summertime to target bass. And this is one of the most exciting lures to use because this mimics a bug or a lizard or a frog on the surface of the water, and it induces a surface strike, so you actually get to see the fish strike the lure and sometimes go airborne. So it's actually one of the more exciting lures to use. And lastly, we have a crankbait, and this is a very good winter bait. I decided to throw it in there because it is winter time. A lot of people don't go out and go bass fishing in the winter, but it's actually one of the few fish you still can catch in the winter time. You just need to use the deep diving baits, such as crankbaits that have spoons on the front that allow them to dive about anywhere from 15 to 30 feet in the water column to get down there in the warmer water where the fish sit in the wintertime. And beyond that, there's just a few friendly tips I like to throw out there. I would definitely say always have a pair or two of needle nose pliers in hand, because when you're using artificial lures, you have treble hooks and just regular hooks, you're going to deal with some bad hookups. And just to keep the fish safe if you're releasing them, or just to keep your hands from being hooked, I would really say it's always nice to have a pair of needle nose on hand. So yeah, that's about it, and thanks for listening. I hope that you could apply some of these techniques if you ever have to use them yourself, and it'll get you well on your way to a more successful day of fishing.